The moment everything fell apart, it happened so fast. One breath, one message, one unbearable wave of fear. Have you ever felt that kind of moment? When danger is coming and you are completely powerless to stop it? When you know something terrible is on the way and God feels painfully silent? That was the night her world began to shake. She didn't scream, she didn't run, she just stood there, heart pounding, knowing destruction was already in motion. Everything she loved was about to be taken from her. She was married to a man whose name brought tension wherever it was spoken. His words were sharp, his heart was hard, his pride was louder than wisdom. His name was Nabal, and he lived in the hill country of Carmel. Abigail was nothing like him. She was known for her understanding, her calm spirit, her quiet strength. But that day, her wisdom wasn't enough to protect her because Nabal had made a terrible mistake. David, still not king but already anointed, had sent men in peace. They asked for kindness, for food, for mercy. Nabal mocked them, insulted them, dismissed them like dirt, and David burned with rage. Swords were drawn, 400 men marched toward destruction, and Abigail didn't even know yet.
When the news reached her, it felt like the ground disappeared beneath her feet. Every man in her household was marked for death, every future erased, every breath counted. She had done nothing wrong, yet she was about to lose everything. She didn't have time to argue, didn't have time to cry, didn't have time to ask why. But later, when she was alone, she whispered a prayer anyway. God, please. And then, nothing. No voice, no sign, no miracle, just silence.
She waited. Minutes felt like hours. Hours felt like years. The footsteps of death were already moving. She prayed again and again. Still silence. Have you ever prayed like that? When the danger is real and heaven feels closed? Days earlier, God had seemed so near. Now, he felt distant, unreachable. Her hands trembled. Her thoughts raced. Was this punishment? Was this the end? Did God even see her? The weight became too much. She broke. Questions spilled out between sobs. Why me, God? Why now? Why stay silent when I need you most? She had been faithful, kind, patient, and still the sword was coming. This was the breaking point, the moment where hope usually dies. But something happened there, in the middle of her fear, a quiet thought. Not loud, not dramatic, just clear. Move. No thunder, no angel, just urgency. And she listened. Abigail didn't wait for permission, didn't consult fear. She moved. She gathered bread, wine, food, gifts. Her hands worked faster than her fear. She mounted a donkey and rode straight toward the danger, toward the man filled with rage, toward the army ready to destroy her life. She didn't know if she would live, but she knew standing still meant death. And then she saw him, David, anger in his eyes, sword at his side, justice twisted by pain. She didn't argue, didn't defend her husband, didn't explain herself. She fell at his feet, humbled, brave, broken. She spoke with wisdom that could only come from God. She reminded him who he was, who God had called him to be, a king, not a murderer. She carried words soaked in humility and truth, and something shifted. The rage slowed. The sword stayed sheathed. God had been moving the whole time. David stopped. He listened, and then he said words that changed everything. "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me." 1 Samuel 25:32. God had intervened through her, not with fire from heaven, not with a voice from the clouds, but through courage, through obedience, through a woman who moved even when God felt silent. The army turned back, lives were spared, judgment was stopped. Later, God dealt with Nabal himself. Abigail didn't have to fight that battle. And in time, the same woman who stood on the edge of destruction became the wife of a king. Not because of chance, not because of luck, but because God was working even in the silence. Here's the truth we often miss. God's silence does not mean God's absence. While Abigail waited, God was preparing her courage. While she feared, God was positioning her purpose. While death marched forward, God was already planning redemption. What looked like delay was divine timing. What felt like silence was God trusting her to move.
If you are waiting right now, if heaven feels quiet, if loss feels heavy, remember Abigail. God may not shout, but He is always present. Your obedience could be the miracle. Your courage could stop the storm. And the pain you're in right now may be shaping the future you can't see yet. Sometimes, the woman who stops a king's rage is the same woman God is raising for royalty. So don't give up. God is still writing your story, even in the silence.